here in just a minute comes from an organization of that scale. That organization is Citrix, and fueled by a level of inspiration, a level of innovation, what we've seen come out of Citrix over the last number of years with product lines that revolve around the cloud, Zen Desktop, Zen App, and more. We have seen some of the cloud architecture literally being defined by this organization, and the individual who's going to be joining us is the Vice President of Product Marketing from Citrix, who's actually led a lot of this innovation. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me introduce Vice President of Product Marketing for Citrix, Calvin Sue.
So great, thank you very much. That warm welcome and great introduction. So I'm very pleased to be here with you today. As John was mentioning, I come from this company. I've been there now 9 years or so, and in that time, we've gone through a number of transformations as a company and as an organization, and we've seen a number of trends come and go. Right? So I guess shortly before I was there, there was the big ASP push where everybody thought applications would be run in the cloud. We all know how that went. Right? It was a time that it was an idea probably just before its time. Interestingly, it's coming back in the form of the cloud. It's coming back in ways that we probably couldn't have predicted, ways that were indicated both by an economic crash as well as a rise in people trying to push workloads into the cloud. And then a really interesting phenomenon with as much money as people were losing, as many jobs were being lost, they were going out and buying $600 smartphones. And the iPhone came along, and iPads came along, and started moving the whole method of work into the cloud and into mobility. So what I wanted to do was kind of talk a bit about how some of the things that drive Citrix. I know this isn't going to be a company pitch or a product pitch. I'll give you a little bit of an idea of the things that we do to help service the infrastructure there. But more about how we think about cloud as part of our strategy and how we think about how we deliver value in the cloud. Right? So what our drivers are. And I think one of the things that we do a little bit differently than other companies, other technology vendors in the industry, is that we look at things from the perspective of the end user. Right? A lot of technology vendors will look at things from their end user, who is IT, who are the administrators in a service provider, in a cloud provider. But we come at it really from the idea of what do the end users want to do. And we surface these things in a belief that we call, a belief around that people should be able to work and play from anywhere. We use this image of this guy on the trampoline. I don't know why it's such a cloudy day and he's wearing a hoodie and it just it looks like he's out there in a really odd mental state. But the idea is, right, that he's at this point in his jump here on this trampoline, and it's the forces that are pushing him up from the trampoline and it's gravity pulling him down, and he's at this one micro instant in time where he feels completely free, and feels completely weightless, right? And that is the balance that we talk about between work and life. And that guy at that point in the trampoline, that's the kind of feeling we want to give people on a daily basis when they make these transitions between what their life is and what their work is, so that they feel this kind of freedom. Now, the way it's drawn up here in this sort of pie chart about what a typical day used to look like, right? This is how they spend time with their families, they spend time on their hobbies, and then they made a transition. They drove to the office and they went and they did work. And then when they were done, they drove home and then their life resumed again. And that's no longer the reality of how people work. A lot of this being related to things like, well, I guess originally the BlackBerry and then the iPhone, and then all sorts of remote access types of solutions. But now people don't divide up their lives like this anymore. It's really about life slicing. And it's about these micro transitions between when I'm checking my Twitter feed for the latest industry news, or I'm checking my Twitter feed to see what Mark Cuban said to all the other NBA owners, right? It's these quick transitions between what I'm doing for myself, what I'm doing for my hobbies, what I'm doing for my work. And you need to be equally productive and satisfied doing all those different things. So it's about creating harmony, it's about creating seamless transitions between life and between work, and about creating continuity. So how do you enable people to live this sort of lifestyle and use multiple devices, be at different locations, be at a kid's baseball game, and checking work and actually doing productive things, just like you take a phone call at the office and you help your kid through some homework, right? These things are become very intertwined. And so how do you make those transitions, still have all your applications, still have all your data, still be able to partake in the events that make up your life, and drive this culture of working and playing from anywhere, which is just the reality that many businesses, your customers, are having to deal with. And so the thought is, okay, this is what they want to do. How do you create a solution for it? Typically, when you ask a technology vendor, what is a solution? It comes with a 15-page brochure that has a bill of materials on it. So this hardware, this software, this networking, these applications. But at its heart, it's really what people want to do. That's what ends up being a solution in the customer's mind. So I took a look back at history, right, to kind of think about